Hey, welcome back to another video from Breezy Reef, and I just wanted to give you guys a quick update on my 90-gallon mixed reef and show you some changes and a couple of the issues that I've been dealing with recently. But overall, this system is just doing beautifully right now. It's really stable, and I finally got through this diatom outbreak that I had been dealing with for a couple of months. And I even had some cyanobacteria, and it was a result of adding some new sand to the existing sand bed, which I did about 4.5 months ago. And it really took the system a while to get through that, stabilize, and in the process I did quite a few pretty large water changes. I replaced my bioplastics at one point, and I even broke down my sump one day and clean the entire thing out, including my refugium, which I redid. So now it's completely stabilized, and it's been a lot easier to keep clean in recent weeks. So I think all the hard work has paid off. A couple of things. In the last video I showed you my Bubble Tip Anemone split again. Here's 2 of them. This was part of the original one that split. And these 2 have stayed right here, but this one that split, the other one has been moving around my tank quite a bit. So it's been a little discouraging. It stayed on this rock, which doesn't have a lot of corals on it initially for, I don't know, a couple of weeks. But in the last week it's taken off and has ended up right here. One thing I have noticed is, obviously I'm keeping tabs on where it's going, but it's staying lower down in my rock work where it's mostly mushrooms and zoanthids and some soft corals, and it doesn't really seem to be affecting much. It has been touching some of my zoanthid colonies and some of the mushrooms and stuff, but I don't really see an effect from the anemone, so it hasn't been an issue. Obviously I don't want it to go up to the top of my rock work where all my SPS corals are. So I got to keep an eye on that. I was thinking I might try to get it out of there if I see it in a spot where it would be easy to remove. But it's actually been right here for about 1.5 days. So maybe if it settles in, I might just keep it. But if these bubble tips continue to split, then I'm going to have to start removing some of them. Also, another note on that, when this one split, for some reason this one, all the tips have stayed bubbled out. Every day this one has the bubble tips. And from my research and my understanding is there's no rhyme or reason to that. This one almost is never bubbled out, but it's totally a healthy specimen. Occasionally after I do a spot feeding on it, the next day it'll bubble out a little bit. But for some reason since the split, this one has stayed completely bubbled out. So that's kind of neat. Obviously my cinnamon clown hosts all 3, so she's constantly keeping track of all 3 bubble tips. And she also hosts my frog spawn, as you can see right there. So she keeps herself very busy. That's my situation on the bubble tips. All my SPS corals are just doing wonderfully. I don't know if you can tell if you go back and watch my last video, which was only a few weeks ago. I mean, there's some major changes going down. This green acroporo is just growing like crazy. It's a huge colony now. At some point I'll have to start fragging that. My monoporas are doing great. Stylophora has a bunch of new branches forming. About 4 or 5 days ago I was cleaning the front of my glass, and this is my tricolor Valida, and I hit it with my elbow and I broke off the 2 biggest branches. So that was kind of a bummer, but that thing has actually been growing pretty quickly, so I just attached those 2 broken pieces to the rock, and they're already taking off, and I guess I'll have 3 colonies of that. Over here, these peach Palys I'm a little concerned with because they're just growing so fast and taking over this entire rock. I had put my green bird's nest up at the top here, and while it's doing really good, the base of it is completely surrounded by those Palys at this point. So I'm kind of debating whether or not to move this piece of bird's nest coral. If anybody wants to chime in with a comment, that would be helpful. I don't know if those Palys being around the base are going to affect that coral ultimately, or if it's okay, if they won't affect it. I mean, there is quite a bit of growth happening on top. It isn't growing as quickly as some of my other pieces, but that's something I'm keeping an eye on. And these Palys are obviously starting to take over my red calistrea on this side. So I'm not sure what to do with that. I'm just letting those go. And also, while I'm pretty new to these SPS corals, I had been dosing B-Ionic leading up to adding these corals to my system. And then I added them, and I was kind of keeping on the same regiment. And I slacked off and I didn't check my water parameters there for a while, and I just checked them about 10 days ago, and they were really low, my alkaline and calcium. So I hadn't been adding enough B-Ionic and underestimated how much calcium and alkaline these SPS corals require to grow. And they've been growing amazing in my system. But now I've been, for about the last 10 days, been dosing a much higher quantity of the B-Ionic daily to the system. And my levels are almost there. They're still a little bit low, but I'm getting them back to where they should be. So that was a little learning curve there. Just giving the system what it needs to keep the water parameters up to handle these SPS corals I added. But everything is doing well. I did get a new critter yesterday. I got this red and white Coco Worm just from the local fish store. I had a credit over there from taking in my fox face a couple months ago. And he just got these in, and I've always kind of liked Coco worms, but I could never get one when I had my butterfly fish. So now that she's gone, I ended up getting this really nice piece. It's got a hard tube, and I haven't permanently attached it, but it's just kind of hooked onto a ledge and hanging right here in the center of my tank where this chasm is. You know, like this column, I just have tons of corals and growth, and over here it's a little more sparse. So I'm going to keep the Coco Worm on this side. It's got really beautiful color, like a really nice bright red and the white. So that's kind of a nice piece. And my next piece I want to get is going to go on this ledge right here, where I kind of have this herding colony of zoanthids. And I want to get a pearl bubble coral that's going to go right on this ledge. And I think that'll be a really nice spot for it, and kind of break up some of the color that I have on this side with this bright white of the bubble coral. So that's kind of on my radar. That's the next piece I want to get. And that's about it for right now on the 90 gallon. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch up with you soon. Take care.